What's up, listeners? JTM here, and I wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Serviceware. Serviceware is an Apple-authorized service provider located in Pleasanton, California. This family-owned and operated business started in 1981 as an electronics repair shop and has since become an industry leader in both phone and computer repair for all of your Apple product needs. Owner Justin Carvaccio is also an avid listener to the podcast, and as TGG's first official sponsor, we couldn't be more excited for the partnership. So next time your Apple product's on the fritz, cut the long lines at the Apple Store and shop local. Head on over to Serviceware where you can rest assured that Justin and his team will give it back to you better than they found it. Learn more at serviceware.com. That's servicewr.com. Enjoy the show. Yeah. Oh yeah. That feels right. You know what this song kind of feels like? You guys remember the intro to the original Power Rangers?
No.
They were in that. They're in this like, and I'm just doing the best of my memory, but like the room, the building they were in was like a Pizza Planet meets fun place to do things, bowling alley. Like I just remember like they would have fun, and then like at the end of it they would like go outside and ass kick. But like the beginning,
Feeling is what we do.
yeah, this is like the song I would imagine was playing in that bowling alley meets Pizza Planet as they were like.
Oh wait, so this song wasn't actually
No, but
played.
this is in my head. It
You're
would have been a
using
better
creative
song.
memory skills right now.
Well, if we haven't lost you already, welcome back to the Through the Grapevine podcast. TTG, if you're nasty. My name is JTM. Mom calls me Jeremy, and sometimes Taylor, but that's only when I'm in trouble. Across from me is the one and only Savannah Banana, SBC. What's Banana?
You know.
And next to her is the one of many Sousas here in the Livermore Valley.
Many, apparently, more than
It's
I would
a,
have thought.
Apparently, 2024 new statistic, Sousa has overtaken Muhammad as the most used name in America.
You're so full of shit.
I'm totally lying. If I offended you, give us a follow. Give us a subscribe. It gets better.
Give us a hate follow.
Give us a hate follow.
Otherwise, as always, we're in the Livermore Valley at the one and only Advanced Creative Studio in the heart of the Vasco Romegas District, and it's a funky Friday. I'm drinking a Altamont Maui Wowie. My man Matt's got a high noon since it is kind of high noon here on this Friday, and Savannah's pounding water as she should because the nutrition challenge isn't over.
Yeah.
Underway.
So, at this point, you've heard Curtis Lilly, you've heard Danielle, and you've heard Hannah, you've heard the one and only Ruby Lopez, and you probably just got a kick out of the mayor, John Marchand.
I was happy with how that came
Yeah.
out.
That was
I
a fun
was
episode,
too.
right?
Yeah.
John and I are like friends now.
I feel like
You guys were homies
Yeah.
for sure.
I feel like we got like he mirrored us, right? Like he's got to, but like I
Yeah.
feel like we got some John there, right? Didn't we?
Yeah.
I wish you guys could have heard like the off-air stuff because it was great. But
that was
like,
good too. Yeah.
You'll have to subscribe for $19.99 in a couple of months, and you'll get the deleted scenes.
The members only.
Right? Sorry, Paul. Otherwise, happy to be back. Just selfish plug. Your boy JTM is day 2 walking on his own 2 feet.
Yep. Saw it this morning. Took Sanjio for a
Yeah,
walk.
Savannah was like, "Did you
I was
fucking
really
walk here?"
concerned. The way that you were moving was very concerned.
It didn't look good. It didn't look good.
It just took a second
It's
to
all right.
realize like what was going on, I think.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, oh, he's walking again.
He's
like,
an idiot.
okay.
Yeah, no, because like I don't live far from Story. Like with normal legs, it's a great walk. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like
Yeah.
2 J. Cole songs and you're there, bruh. 45 minutes both ways.
Yeah.
I was chugging along, but I was like, you know what? And you get halfway, and I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking turn around and waste my time now. Like I'm gonna get
you
there.
can't.
And it's funny that you guys were there because in my head I was like, I knew I was going to do it. Worst comes to worst, I buy a coffee and I hang out till I'm ready to go again. But I was
Yeah.
like, man, I hope Savannah and Nicole are in there just in case I can't make this.
And
Catch a ride with somebody. Oh, hey, how'd you get here? Can you be right home?
Yeah, he had
they
Sanjio.
were.
He had to let Sanjio go
Yeah.
so that Sanjio could run to me because
Yeah.
Sanjio
He
was
was
getting
gonna drag
excited
my-
and
I
was
was
going to
like, no,
try and
fucking-
cheer me.
not
But
happening.
we asked before. We're like, I was like, do you guys want like a ride home? Like we can wait. He was like, no, we're good.
I got myself into this predicament. I'll figure it out.
And he figured it out. Good job.
congratulations.
Yeah.
Got
No,
the boot
it
off.
was, you know what? I was going to save it to the end. We usually do a moment of gratitude towards the end. And I'm just going to start with it.
Good deal. Mix it up.
And I'm fucking proud of myself, okay? For this one, this has been a very, very challenging injury, and I've still got a long way to go. But being someone who is both like physically and mentally ADHD, not being able to move my feelings out of my body has been a challenge. And I have been excited to pee standing up. And walk to Story Coffee. I did my first
didn't
CrossFit.
Think about that one. Didn't think about
shout out to CrossFit Livermore. I had a subpar Monday morning, and I knew I was going to go to the gym regardless because like I had to get there. I got to try it. I want to get on the stationary bike and like I want to learn my limits again because I'm a little disconnected from my body, which is just like that's weird. I don't like being that. But after I kind of had a shitty morning, I was like, I extra want to go to CrossFit. Because people are going to be excited to see me.
Of course.
Yeah, they are.
Oh my gosh.
And that's
Everybody
exactly
makes
what
you
they
feel so
fucking
good,
did,
too.
man. So shout out CrossFit for
Shout
good
out to
energy.
CrossFit.
Shout out.
The the gym is really full of good energy right now. And Grace sent out her last night, today, yes, at some point this week, Grace sent out her like midweek check-in. And that was, I think, like within the first like few lines is that the energy in the gym right now is just so fucking good. Like
Nutrition
the energy is
Challenge
so
energy.
high.
Oh yeah, I mean, so many people coming in to do their extra workouts, and at this point, and Savannah can speak to this more than I can, but all the teams have bonded pretty good.
Yeah.
So like you have your kind of your own team, but outside of that, you also have just the team of everybody in the challenge.
Yeah.
So what are you guys in week 6? Ending week 6, so only
Ending
2
week
more
6.
weeks to go.
Yeah.
And that's usually when everybody's like, you're all homies. It's like when you go to like summer camp, you know, everything's like broken down,
Yeah.
and
Can't be
now,
unseen,
now
man.
everybody's like best friends with people they're never gonna see again in 2 weeks.
Oh
You
man,
know?
sign my picture.
But that's the cool part is because
Yeah.
they all still will see each other inside
Yeah.
the gym and do it. But yeah, the energy right now has been awesome.
good.
It's a good time right now. I know it's so funny. I agree with ADHD physically and mentally. When I hurt my knee, that fucking sucked so bad because it's like, your little wiggles. You don't realize like how much energy you have to get out. And we walk every single day for about like 45 minutes to like an hour.
Yeah.
2 hours if I can really convince Nakoa.
I feel it.
But
46 minutes this morning each
But
way.
if you don't do that, it feels like shit. You
You
feel
gotta
so
let it out, bro.
shitty.
Yeah.
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 And I always knew it, but like, well, I stress clean. And like when I'm stressed out at home or for whatever reason, but I'm at home, I clean shit because it displaces the energy.
Yeah.
And it's a productive way to displace energy.
Yeah.
And like I couldn't do it. Or I couldn't do it like
Just
I
stuck sitting there.
couldn't do it
Because
like
it was
I'm used
so
to.
difficult.
It's
Yeah.
just difficult. And then
Yeah.
like 5 minutes in, you're like, this exercise sucks. I'm going to sit down. So,
Yeah.
and shout out to my wife. Couldn't have done it without you, baby. I know you don't
Shout
listen.
to
You get
Erica.
enough of me, but if you happen to get this soundbite for whatever reason, couldn't have done it without
We
you.
can do the specific
Clip
one.
that for
send it to her.
Valentine's Day next year.
Yeah, okay, there it is. So
You got something in the hole.
I like starting. Okay,
So we're back.
The moment Grace has you every week, we're supposed to do the nutrition challenge. A humble brag. You send like your humble brag. It
Oh,
could
I like that.
literally be
Humble brag.
anything.
There
So
you
that
go.
was your humble brag for the
All
week.
right. Well, then
Jeremy.
here we'll use
There
that
we
for
go.
the future. Moment of gratitude's for the end. If you feel it in the beginning, we're gonna humble brag.
It'd be
it.
a humble
Yeah,
brag.
yeah.
we go.
Shout out to Grace.
Shout out to Grace, season 6, episode 1, January.
Matt,
last
got
year.
anything you want to
That's
say
it.
for Valentine's Day next year?
Yeah, no, we're good.
So otherwise, it's just us today. The throuple is back for the first time this year, actually. So this is kind of cool. We kind of rolled straight into amazing guests, and intentionally we're like, let's just reel it in. Let's just recollect ourselves a little bit. And the theme that we're going to take on today is how to get the most out of 2024. At the time this is released, it's the first. The half marathon just ended. So hopefully you came out there and hung
fuck.
out with us. You guys did a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, we can.
Can you guys believe it that I ran the 5K and then it was just like, you know what, this isn't enough. And then I started running the entire half marathon and then I won the whole thing. Do you guys remember that?
Oh yeah, dude, vividly.
Wild.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the
The
clips
photos
of it.
out of that are going to be incredible.
But the year is
Not
still
staged at all.
young, right? The year is still young enough to have this conversation, and it's never a bad time or too late to just kind of take a look. Take a look at your grounding. So I asked everybody to think of a theme or a keyword that resonates with you specifically this year, maybe 2, and we're gonna chat on it. I've got mine, and then we've got this little note here because that's just interesting. I wasn't supposed to be. It's supposed to be invisible because I was curious if maybe you would bring it up because I know you dabble in that realm a little bit. But secret's out. You don't know because you can't see it. But here we go. We're just gonna dive right in.
Sure.
Rock, paper, scissors. Who goes first?
Oh, okay. How are we?
Rock,
best
paper,
to-
show.
Okay.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah. Okay. We all did the same one.
All did scissors.
We all did
Scissors.
scissors.
If you should be watching on Spotify,
Yeah, here we go.
Rock,
1, 2,
paper,
3.
show. Oh, I'm out. Cool. Okay. You guys got to go. You guys?
Do we want to do it right now?
Oh, okay.
So Jeremy's going to go third.
Paper, scissors.
Wait, I'm doing it wrong.
Okay.
It's our first time playing rock, paper, scissors.
Go.
All right. So Savannah's going to take us.
Fucking idiot.
She's going to lead us off.
Savannah's starting.
So this is for themes.
That was me to start. Okay.
Yeah, themes,
Fuck.
keywords. Whether
there's
you're
the
a
first
small
loser.
business owner, or just someone with a great idea, an entrepreneur, or even just Savannah speaking personally on something that resonates with her this year as she makes growth. So that's kind of the theme today, right? We're a small business podcast here in the beautiful Livermore Valley, and we want to see if we can't. I don't know. Check some boxes today. I don't know if that's the right analogy, but you know what I'm trying to say.
We're trying to bring some value. We're trying to contribute.
There you
here.
go. Yeah.
Give you some food for
Trying to bring
thought.
some
Maybe
value.
energize you. Maybe give you something tactical that you could use and apply in your life and execute on, or
There
maybe
you go.
just realize, oh shit, I'm not alone in these thoughts. Cool. There's other people that I can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I briefly talked about this, I think, in a few of the episodes of my theme for the year. I decided I normally make like a really, really long list of goals. Not like a super long, it's just very detailed of like, okay, this is how we achieve the goal. This is how we do this and that. But instead I'm trying something a little bit different this year. And this was encouraged by a training that I had at the beginning of the year. And it was to choose like a word or a phrase or something that's going to kind of guide you through the rest of the year. And I thought about it a lot, and I've said it before, but mine is brave.
Okay.
And the person who gave me the idea was, I guess it was a training. That's where we came up with it. But
It was a. I'm sorry. You're not saying it's a tranny, are you?
training.
Okay, I was like, what's happening right now?
That's fair.
I'm sorry. I just wanted
We
to
don't say
clarify.
trannies anymore.
For someone- I don't know. You tell me. I was just like,
I
I
You
did
you
watch
said
the
it
Dave
second
Chappelle
time, and I
special
was
the
kinda
other
like,
week, but
Well, now
no.
I'm realizing
I apologize.
I think what it is that I'm really flummy.
I just wanted to clarify.
It's okay. No, keep going. Keep
Nasally.
rocking. We're
We're
crushing
like,
it.
canceled over here. Okay.
We're working on our hater count.
Sorry, trainer.
Training.
Training.
It was a training.
A training.
All right, so Savannah was at a
Yes.
training,
Okay, sorry.
and
Jeremy gets it. Where are you lost?
it's Friday, guys. It's Friday. Bear with us. We're
half a high noon deep. I don't know what's going on.
good thing we didn't have tequila today.
So
We'd
The
be all-
training
I was
you
at
did.
a training.
Got it. Roger.
And
Check.
the idea was, but you pick a word or a phrase or whatever.
Okay.
And
like
I
brave.
chose brave, and then
Okay.
I've turned this into also a really fun side project of like I'm calling it 365 Days of Brave. And every day I write down the one brave thing that I did during the day.
Okay.
And I'm hoping to compile this into like a larger piece. We'll see what I do with it. And the idea behind it, and people were kind of surprised when I chose this as my word because I'm not somebody who's terribly shy by any means. I have told you guys that I will openly tell somebody I hate them and I list out why I hate them. Like I don't have this certain thing that maybe I think most people that you would traditionally think of like, oh, need bravery tends to be speaking your mind.
Yeah.
But I like brave because everybody doesn't do something because they're afraid. And so choosing brave for me means a few different things. The biggest issue that I notice that I have is I have this problem with perfectionism, and I won't do something if I know it's not going to be perfect. So then I end up having this long list of these goals and all these things that I want to accomplish or all these things that I want to do, but I haven't done them. And when I was thinking about like, okay, well, why haven't I done them? It all came down to this fear of like, if it's not going to be perfect, I won't do it. And nothing's ever perfect, so therefore I never do it. And it felt really sad to have this like long list of things that I wanted to do that some of them were kind of small too. And it was just these tiny fears that got in the way. So by choosing every day, I have to do something. It requires one, you have to be self-aware of how you're like feeling and what you're doing. Some of it's a little premeditated. So like some things I know like a week in advance, I'm like, okay, that's going to be the brave thing that I do on like Wednesday. Some of the things
So you're cataloging the brave.
I'm cataloging the brave. That's the important thing. And some of them are really, really small. And some of them are a little bit bigger. So the brave thing that I did on Wednesday was I did what was the 333, which is a workout that Grace had planned as the extra WOD for the challenge this week. And I didn't want to do it because I knew that the running portion I wasn't going to be happy with. I was going to do the run and I was going to be really disappointed in my result. Essentially, the only way I could have ever been happy with that result is if I ran the entire thing and I ran it at a 9-minute pace. And that is nowhere near where I'm running right now. So I set myself up for failure by wanting to achieve this thing that was very unrealistic. So my way of dealing with an unrealistic goal is okay, well, then we just don't do it. And then we don't have to be disappointed about it. So choosing to do something and learning how to sit with an uncomfortable feeling or learning how to sit with disappointment is also a weird thing that I've been working on. And I think as people, we don't like to sit in our feelings, so we do things to cover them up. For me, a lot of the time, I'll eat really tasty food that I really enjoy, but I'm doing it to try and cover up a bad feeling, or I'll specifically avoid something because I don't want to deal with the repercussion of it being anything less than perfect. So I did the run anyways. I did the whole workout and I did the run. I wasn't happy with it, but the point was that I did it, and now the next time when I go and do it, it's going to be a better time. And then when I do it again after that, it's going to be a better time. And my time's going to keep improving because I don't ever get to that 9-minute pace if I never fucking start.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes they're big things. Sometimes they're little things. It's just been a way for me to hold myself accountable. And when things are in bite-sized pieces to me, it's way easier to do and to digest, because when the moment comes up of ooh, I kind of don't want to do that, I just say, you got to be brave today. That was the deal that you made. Yeah. And then I do it, and then it's so easy, and I end up feeling really good about it. And then it's also nice that I have it written down, because I noticed kind of this year, I tend to forget things that I do. I don't know. I don't give myself the pat on the back for whatever, I'll figure it out in therapy. That's tomorrow's problem. But for whatever reason, I don't do it. So it's nice to have this long list that I can go back from in a year. And I'm oh shit, wait, Savannah, you're right. You do a lot. You're actually extremely accomplished. Why do you not think that about yourself? So it's a nice practice of self-awareness. I think it's a nice practice of perspective, gratitude, and also it's just a way to kind of push yourself outside of those comfort zones in ways that people might not be aware of.
Well, so I'd like to continue to expound upon this, but if you're cool with it, I'm going to skip in front of you because I think mine is in some capacities a synonym of sorts to Savannah's, but I think that, I like that. And I think, what's different about your point particularly, outside of what you called it or as far as the practice of it, is the cataloging of it, which I think is important. Because, life happens fast and life just happens. And it's, it's easy to forget to remember how awesome you are or what you've done. And I also like that you're, cataloging it helps you celebrate the little wins. I think it's easy to always be excited. Yeah, it's easy to get excited about the champagne popping, throwing a 2023 mixer. That shit was fire. But
that was good.
It's the little wins that matter more along the way.
But even those things I forget. I forget massive things that I do until somebody else brings it up to me. I'm oh, that's right. I did do that. You're right. Yeah, thanks. So I don't know if anybody else, and I think that kind of comes into perfectionism of nothing I do is really good enough for me. I'm always okay, did that. Cool. What's next? There's always something. So I think if perfectionism is something that you struggle with, this is also really good practice to deal with it, to be wait, maybe this narrative that I feed about myself isn't very accurate.
Do you have a way? Do you have a procedure of how you allow yourself to celebrate little wins, or is it not that premeditated?
No, I think it's woohoo. I don't know. I tell my therapist on Wednesdays when I go and see her, I'm Rachel, you'll never believe what happened.
I love how you call her by the first name on the show all the time.
I guess I should call her Dog. Whatever. She's Rachel to me.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. But you guys are talking that and deep. Maybe figuring out something. I think that's the other thing is I don't share my celebrations with other people, and I don't know what that is. I don't know why I do that.
So when you accomplish something that you were going after, do you have a reward that you give yourself? You're like, okay, after I complete X, like Nicole and I will do Y because I completed X.
No, Nicole was really good about being like, hey, you did this thing. Let's go to Range Life. And I'll be like, wahoo, let's go to Range Life, which is a good incentive for me of like, if I ever want to accomplish something that I don't want to do, I feel like if you just dangle Range Life in front of me, I'll do it.
Good.
Yeah, Nicole was good about being like, no, we should like celebrate things. But I think for me, happiness comes from my connection with people. Mm-hmm. So if I truly wanted to celebrate something, I would be happiest if I shared it with people.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
But sharing with people feels, I don't know why I don't do it. It feels narcissistic or like I don't know. And I think this is a societal thing like in the US that we do where you're supposed to be like humble, right? So like you don't share, or sometimes I don't think things are that big of a deal and I like downplay like how cool it was or something until somebody's like, hey guys, did you know Savannah did this? And then shares it like for me.
What do you mean by share? Like, are you talking in the sense of like at large with like a social media, or are you talking about
no,
like just
that doesn't really mean anything to
like...
me. But just like literally telling somebody
like you just did something amazing.
Yeah. Like, hey, I'm really excited about this. Guys, like, I just did this. Like, I just won't give myself, like, that kudos, which is kind of like what the humble brag thing is that Grace has us do. It's like a practice of, like, patting yourself on the back and, like, calling attention to your victories. And I don't know why I, like, don't do it. And so a lot of the times, Nicole will have to tell my friends.
I think it's a combination of a few things. And it's not entirely our fault. Society does put certain, I won't say pressures, but definitions on celebration. You know, I think two words that often get misconstrued is confidence and cocky. And generally the confusion in my experience comes from people's it's people's projection of their insecurities on the energy that you're displacing. Which has more to do with them than it does you, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you don't see, witness, and feel the energy that they're giving back to you. Yeah. Which can fuck up.
I think that's for sure one piece of it,
of what you're, and so like,
I think I also just feel silly. Like I feel silly celebrating myself. Like I feel silly telling somebody about something that made me really happy. Like, I don't know. I just feel really silly about it. And I'm it seems like so silly. Like, why would I share that with you? Like, you got your own, like, why do you fucking care? You don't care.
I feel that. I feel that.
I'm not saying that this is a logical, I'm not saying this is a logical pattern of thinking. I'm just acknowledging it's how I think.
I don't think you're alone.
I get that.
I mean,
My therapist has been having a really hard time with me lately. I'm like, listen, Rachel, this is a very logical thought pattern. She's like, well, let's not label it. I'm like, let's label it, Rachel. And I'm like, it's very logical. I understand that. However, I still think it. Fix it. Thank you.
I think also who you choose to celebrate with really matters because people often want to see you well, just not
you
better
do always
than
say
them,
this.
right?
Yeah.
Like, so if you're like within this group here, it's like, you know that between the three of us, you come with some sort of win that you did, and we're like just as pumped or even more pumped in the case of like how you're saying, Nicole, like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. You're like, oh, I guess that was cool. So like finding your group to do that with, and then I think you should do it because outside of the fear of somebody else just wanting to tear it down or talk shit about it behind your back,
which has never happened.
Which goes back to what Jeremy was saying, which is it's just going to be a projection of their insecurity, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you stay within like your group and your tribe, you could pretty much eliminate or massively avoid that and still get kind of the benefit of recognizing your own hard work.
My really, really close friends are good about keeping like a pulse on the things that I do too. So a lot of times they'll ask me, they'll be like, hey, how did that thing that you applied for went? And then I'll be like, oh yeah, like I got it. And they'll be like, how long ago? I'll be like, a month ago. They're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you didn't say anything.
Boo, tell a motherfucker.
Like one of my friends was just like on social media and saw that I did something. And she was like, what the fuck? Why didn't you say anything to us? Because there's definitely, I think it's just, it feels weird to like hop into and be like, guys, guess what this really awesome thing is going for me right now. Like that's not a normal, it's not I don't want to say normal. It's just not a common thing in culture that I think. So trying to implement it feels really foreign. And I would say most of the people that I've ever shared anything with, because I'm so excited, haven't like said or done anything. But I will say kind of recently, it's funny that you say that. Recently, I think I told you guys about I won first place for a fiction contest, for a fiction writing contest. And some people were asking me like, oh, like what's the piece about? And it's very mean. It's kind of dark and it's taboo, like themes that probably make a lot of people uncomfortable. I think it's really funny. And I was telling this to a group of people that I see pretty regularly. And two of them were like, oh my God, that's so funny. Like, I really want to read it. And one of them is like, the way that this person was just like, oh, you have to send it to me. I immediately clocked them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, you don't want me to send it to you because you want to be like, wow, this is a really cool thing that somebody I know did. You want me to send it to you because in some way or another, you're trying to judge me and I feel it. And I saw that person, I think, a little bit more clearly than I had, or like I think there was a few things and then it all kind of fell in for me and I was just like, oh, and I told them, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna send it to you.
Good. No, I think
You
Matt
don't
brings
owe
up a
them
good
anything.
point.
Because you have to choose, like what Matt is saying, like you
Choose who you
choose your people.
celebrate
Like
with.
Yeah.
after some time, you know who are your cheerleaders and who are your like low key haters, and you're just like, no,
Like,
I don't want to give
you
the
know,
haters that
in
energy.
the same vein, different front is like we also live in a world where social media gives people the ability and ability to
Yeah.
celebrate too much. You know what I'm saying? Like we
for
live like
sure.
everyone
Like
gets a fucking
everything.
trophy these days. Like I was
Yeah.
listening to Gary Vee the other day,
Gary
and he's not the
Vee.
first, and he won't be the last to say it. But like sports, he was talking about sports and like how he believes, and I can agree. It's not my opinion, but I can agree. How he thinks we've ruined sports because sports is like one of the very few things that is matter of fact. You either win or you don't.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and that doesn't mean the winner needs to be a prick about it, but you either win or you don't. As far as the contest, like you can take wins within that for yourself. Oh, cool. I got second place, which is better than third I did last time.
Yeah, or it
But
really
you-
improved.
But you win or
Yeah.
you don't. And like we all, and it is like also like 12th place is getting ribbons these days, like which is I don't want to get too granular into that conversation, but like we've also
Well, it's a joke.
it's we live in a
I've
day
been
and age
thinking,
where
we talked about this a little bit last week of how I had this conversation about participation. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately because my thing is I'm like, I literally like, I want and need people to participate. If you say you want to be a part of something, fucking participate to it. Like fucking do it. Don't just sign your name to it and be like, and then reap all the benefits, but give nothing back.
Yeah.
It's been a really big pet peeve of mine. And I think this kind of feels like a slightly different conversation than like there's winners and there's not, right? Like, because this is more so of, for me, I'm learning that in so many ways as people, we get further ahead when we team up together, right? And when we help push each other and we help hold each other accountable and we like pick up the slack where somebody can, but we do it because like we know that the other person, like maybe they had just a bad day and they'll pick up the slack when I have a bad day or whatever it is. But in general, it's more so if I'm like, just do the thing. Just make a concerted effort. Doesn't have to be a perfect one, but make a concerted effort to do the thing that you committed to, that you say that you want to be a part of. Because when we go to publish this thing and your name is there, and I know you didn't put that type of effort in, that bothers me. That's going to really irritate me.
You don't
And
sound
it's-
like a fan of socialism then.
No, and this is where, and I would say no. I definitely lean more out of capitalism, and I do lean a little bit more towards
No, you don't.
social. Yes,
No,
I
you
do
don't.
in certain
You do-
ways.
you don't. No, you
we
don't.
can have this conversation, Matt. We will have this conversation.
You just
in
went
which-
on the whole time to explain how much socialism bothers you.
No, I talked about you need to participate. Like I want everybody to participate.
Like a contributing member of society where all
No,
things are
because
just
this is where
dished
it
out
gets-
equally, but it's based on the level of effort you put in.
No, because I could put in more effort, but if I feel like you did your best, even if it doesn't match the, quantity of what I did, if I just feel like you literally did your best, if I put in this much effort and you put in this, but I know that that was your best, I'm fine with that.
But what about your best that wasn't good enough to get the dollar?
In this in these
Yeah.
group projects I'm talking about,
Yeah.
it's not to that. And I guess, and this is where it gets tricky because we're taking a few different concepts and we're applying it at large.
Yeah,
and
we're-
I
Totally.
at large,
Mine
like
was more so
that's
just
where
to
it gets
spice
tricky.
it up. That's what I do. That's my role here.
It's Friday,
that's
baby.
where it gets tricky, but it's more so of
JTM in
like
the kitchen.
I always say that I really
your phone.
love like small, like I love communities. And to me, communities only work when we all like genuinely give it our best effort. You don't have to be
Yeah.
the best
No,
person
and
out
I
there.
100, yeah.
You just have to like make a concerted effort. But I think there's several people right now that I actively participate in things with that I'm like, you just are not giving this like your best effort,
Yeah.
and you're here and you're reaping the rewards, and the rest of us are giving, but you're not doing anything to give back. And the thing is I'm going to get tired at some point, and I'm going to need somebody to give back so that I can give back again. Like
Yeah.
it's constantly kind of catching each other's back. And like, so therefore there needs to be participation.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hear you there. And like I said, we started with Brave and we got into a good conversation. I'm going to transition into,
Hold on, before you do that, I would like to just finish your thought on the sports thing. What was the takeaway there? Because you had said that Gary Vee said sports, there's a winner and there's a loser.
Oh, yeah.
Where were you
What was
going
his
with- where were you going with
conclusion?
that?
Yeah.
I was
well,
curious.
he was trying to, he was making the point, and if you know Gary Vee, you know, his personality it's East Coast. It's more abrasive than some people like to hear.
They're the best people.
And sometimes you
My
need to hear
opinion.
that, which is, and like, and you know, how Gary Vee, he flies between things so quickly. But the point, he was just referencing sports as a very obvious example of how, we say society these days has now values. And I hate to use the word you just used, but just like participating in something versus
Being award, I think that's the difference between award and participation, because I think like the thing
What
that
about participation versus contribution?
yeah,
And I- well, and I think-
okay. I think Matt
Well,
has
and
a better
and without getting too, because like we can define those. We can spend all day defining those in the nuances of them.
But I like what Matt said. I think I'm going to
So
change mine to contribution, and I think
Yeah.
what you're talking about is participation.
Yes.
I think that's a clearer.
I'm with you there. I think we're on the same. Hopefully you're still following us there, but like, yeah, contribution is the same and different than participation. At an extent, but like rolling into what I believe is kind of my, the synonym to, like you said, brave, and brave. It takes, you said brave, and I agree with that. I like it, and I think it's same but different. So, I texted you guys early, and those that listen, we talk about failure a lot. If you're a fan of Kobe Bryant, he talks about failure all the fucking time, and anyone who's achieved anything talks about failure a lot. And then I kind of was like, what's another word? Risk. So like if there was risk,
Okay, I see how these are tying.
Risk is the word that I went with instead to help exemplify failure. Let me pull up my notes because it was long-winded.
Look at
But
you.
We all
Notes.
like. So I'm just driving on the point that like failure to me is a place, not an action. You obviously always plan to succeed, but when it doesn't work out that way, you must train yourself to move on and move through failure. Honestly, as quickly as you can. To the bravery thing, if you never try, like UC Davis study reports, if you never try, you'll never achieve. Spoiler alert. So
Right.
so if you never take the risk,
Or
to do
sometimes you'll lie to yourself and be like, "Oh, I'm going to do it when I have time." Which
Yeah.
I say, no, anything that I put a concerted effort forward will be perfect.
Yeah.
Anything that I spend time on will be perfect. So then what ends up happening is I'm lying to myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm never going to
never gonna be
dedicate
perfect.
my time until I put that first draft in.
And as soon as
I'm
you
not
do it,
going to
you'll see
sit
where
down
you
and
get
write
better.
a perfect first draft, right? And so that is that concept of like, don't lie to yourself about it. It's saying, I'm going to do it later. You're not going to do it later, so do it now. And it may come out shitty, but at least you have something to build upon.
Yeah, and
Because you can't build upon nothing.
You can't build upon nothing. So risk as a small business owner or an entrepreneur. If there was a theme that is close, I'm holding close to chest this year. It is that, and it's continuing to take risks, calculated risks. I love another word like fail fast. Don't spend 6 months failing, unless the project
Meaning what?
project warrants that. But like the point is like if you want to try something or you have a good idea that makes sense relative to what you're trying to achieve or do, because not all ideas are blah blah blah, right? Like you might have 3 great ideas and you whittle it down to 1. Once you get down to that 1, go fucking do it. Like don't spend 6 months, don't spend 2 years.
Don't lie to yourself and put it off.
Right, like
You won't do it.
try the thing and figure out if it's going to work for you or not.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll never have the data. You'll never have a sample to go from, which is
Yeah.
you running your 9-minute, thing. Like do the thing because now you have someone like that wasn't so bad, or it sucked, you have something. You have a frame of reference.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, so like, you know, in this year, and I you know, I'm a visual guy. You know, we talk about sports. We have, you know, CrossFit Livermore here. You know, I think about like working out. I think humans we have this thing where we love pushing ourselves. At least I think most of us. We enjoy
Entrepreneurs, surely.
entrepreneurs, surely, but I think anyone can relate to this. Is like we have this capacity and this want to push ourselves, whether that is going downhill on the bike and like, you know what, hands off the brake, let's fucking send it, let's go as fast as we can, or
Yeah.
or you know, or it's just like when you're working out and you're you know, and you like as you get stronger, you're literally like micro tearing your muscles and they come back stronger, right? Like that's the visual there. So like you have to break to build.
Which is gross. I really hate that visual.
Yeah, right? Or it's like, or why people cold plunge, because it's painful and there's these various instances where you can push yourself to a limit, and it doesn't always have to be physical. It doesn't always have to be mental. But if you can, you know, for me, what I'm trying to do is really get a good catalog of what that means to me, and how it might benefit, you know, how I move forward. You writing funny shit on the back of that?
I'll tell you what I thought. What I thought you said after.
So like that is like I'm trying to draw the visual as far as like you know be a little more risky, but like obviously calculated. Don't just waste your time. Don't do stupid shit. Don't lose money.
Right.
But if you have a dream, you're confident in it, and you believe in it, go try it, and go try it sooner than later.
Even if you're not that confident.
Fair enough. Even if you're not that confident,
take the first step.
But at least be aware of what you're
drafts.
trying to. Shitty first draft. So. I'll take a breath here as these are a lot of notes, but risk is the theme. And I think as I say, I take a break and I keep talking.
I like risk. That's a good one.
I think what is on the other side of that is what a lot of people need and what I need coming out of a pandemic and just into this next stage. And like skipping these notes here and just getting to my metaphor. You know, you've heard me say this before. It took me tearing my Achilles to reset me. Like honestly, this is my you know, if failure
Achilles heel.
if failure was a place, that's where I'm in it right now, and I'm kind of digging myself out of it. And just, you know, I think it's, you know, I'm a spiritual guy, and I think the universe says crazy things, but like I needed such a life-changing something to happen that has you start over to get to what I think is coming next. Right. So like I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, and I didn't want to tear my Achilles. No one plans for that. But what I needed was something that was so drastic that I had to change my habits.
Right. It was by force. By force.
By force, I have to change my habits, and I get an opportunity to reset. I could very well just get better and go straight into the same thing. But I was given an opportunity. I've been given an opportunity. Mm-hmm. I'm taking it as an opportunity to reset habits that have gotten me where I've needed to go, but aren't as beneficial to me.
Yeah, but they're not going to get you to where you're going next.
Where I'm trying to go next. Yeah. And that's where like I'm in this space where I'm trying to calculate, and I'm trying to catalog, and I'm trying to understand what kind of risks I need to take moving forward.
Yeah.
To get to that next level. So like risk, bravery, that's kind of what's next for me. And where do you sit with that? I mean, Savannah, since you went brave first, I mean, does it kind of sound like something?
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of saying the same thing, different fonts, or like just slightly different. And I really like that because I think, you know, bravery requires that you're doing something that has risk to it. So yeah, I feel like we're saying a very similar thing. Mm-hmm. I really like what you're saying, especially when you talk about like the failure like aspect of it. And I feel like that makes me think about the part where I was saying feeling uncomfortable and getting to a place where you no longer try to figure out how to hide that, cope with that, but you just learn to sit with it and just and not do anything with it. Just be like, oh wow, like that sucked. I'm really uncomfortable with this, or like I'm really unhappy, and I'm not going to do anything to kind of change it. I'm going to feel it for as long as I need to feel it, and then the next day I try again, and then just see what like moves from that. And I think maybe that's very similar to a meditation practice, is like learning to accept things without having to try and change the thing. The only thing that you can change is how you approach it again the next time.
There you go. And I think that's the word, like self-awareness.
That's the only thing you can, yeah.
So like obviously risk is like they say, you don't plan to fail. You plan to win.
Yeah.
But failures happen sometimes.
There's
and
there's a really good saying, if like you're saying, like you don't plan to fail. There's a saying that I really liked. And it's if you build a safety net, you'll fall into it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very similar to like what you're saying of like, you don't plan to fail. If you do build a safety net, that's you planning to fail. So if you're like, plan A is this, and don't worry, I have plan B, it's my safety net, you're going to fall into plan B. Mm-hmm. You're going to, because you gave yourself an out. Matt says a thing of like, we storm the beaches and we burn the ships, because there is no exit plan of like, you need to be committed to whatever that plan is of, because if you build a safety net, you're going to fall into it.
Yes, you
and you don't want to do that. You want to commit to a plan and say that there's a very real chance, there's a very real risk that I fail at this.
Yeah. And I do want you to chime in here, Matt. I'm just kind of getting to like the other elements of the point I was trying to make. Like, so like risk is kind of the theme, but what comes from risk is the point. And to me, at least for me, it's self-awareness and resilience.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And that is where you build consistency, and that's where you begin to make greater strides because you can recover faster, or you recover. Moving through failure is recovery, and you can do that faster. Not only can you,
because you get comfortable with being like, oh, I failed at something. That's okay. I'm not gonna like we're gonna
you
move
might fail
on.
Similarly,
yeah.
And like I've done this before, whether it's a physical, restart or a mental one, especially a mental one, because like if you're sore, if I go, I'm fucking riding the bike, I'm sore, like, but like the mental ones are the harder ones to get through. I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah.
So like both matter, but especially up here, getting out of your head enough to see that like there was a point to this. Your emotions.
Or that you get to design your own point. I don't know if I'm a person who like believes in like, oh, everything happens for a reason. I more so believe I get to decide why this happened. I get to decide what I'm going to do with this. Of like something shitty happened, and the only thing I can do is how I respond to it. And I'm going to give this shitty thing meaning now. I'm not going to sit here and allow this to be for no fucking reason. Like I'm going to make meaning out of my life. I choose it.
I can completely dig that. So I think self-awareness and resilience are something that I think is important to come out of taking more risks.
Yeah.
What say you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I liked how
Take
you
it easy over there, Shakespeare.
I like how you guys both kind of were essentially talking about the same things, but like you said, like different fonts or like different approaches to it, but kind of the same general theme. And then first off, I just don't want it to go unnoticed, the well-timed joke of the Achilles heel there was
come on, that's
fucking great. I was like, let Jeremy finish. Don't start laughing. So I just want to acknowledge
There's
that.
no giggling when I'm trying to be serious.
I know. Well, like she hit it. She's like,
all we do is we giggle
so
over
you
each
would
other.
say
We're the
it's
worst.
your Achilles heel? I was like, fuck you. That joke is so good, and I don't want to like
so
derail him right now. So anyways, just acknowledgement of that.
Thank
you. So, two of the
I will write jokes if you pay me.
she could also write comedy. The things that I kind of thought of that immediately came to mind is, and I'll go with the gaps first because I think it touches a little bit about what you guys were saying, and then the second thing I have here written down is enemies, which I think are super important also to have. But first we'll talk with gaps. So I think for me, I'm always trying to fill three buckets. There's three things that are limiting all of us as human beings on this planet. And the three limitations are limited knowledge, our limited skill set, and our limited beliefs. And I think that as an entrepreneur, one of those three or all three are kind of working all at the same time. You guys touch base a lot on like the limiting belief thing. Like, oh, if I don't get it perfect, it's not worth putting out. Oh, if I fail at it, I might as well not even try.
Yeah.
So that's when we talk about the beliefs. And then what you gain from actually trying becomes the knowledge and the skill set.
Yeah.
So,
disproving the narrative, disproving your negative.
You got your first couple reps in. It wasn't great, but you picked up a little more skill and you have a little more knowledge on how to do it better. So all of it is just addressing and having, and you guys both touched on this, the self-awareness to say, okay, here's where I'm at. Here's where I want to go. Now, what's the ignorance debt that I have to pay down for my skills and knowledge? And what sort of limiting beliefs do I need to break through? Right. And so like, I like to put these grand things out. Like last time, I think we had to talk about money multiple episodes back. And I was like, $803,000 a month is what I'm going to, and people like, look at that. Like, what? Are you going to just print money? Like that's not going to be legal. And
We would never do that.
and so you put these really big things out there because I want to like shatter certain beliefs that I have. And the only way you could do that is first by setting some audacious goals, but then secondly by getting out there and trying to fill the gaps in the knowledge and the skill set, and then understanding that it's going to be a bumpy road. And even if you're like, we put a lot of status on money here in the US. So let's say you're somebody who goes from like, I'm $100,000 a year person to now I'm $1 million a year person, right? Well, as soon as you get in the $1 million club, you're back at the bottom. And then when you go from 1 million to 10 million, you're sitting pretty, but you're also going to be at the bottom of your 50 million. So there's no limitation to this in life. There's no made it, there's no arrived, and if you are a human being, you're facing limited knowledge, limited skills, and limited beliefs that you're always having to break through, regardless of where you are on this journey of life, and regardless of your status or your economic status or anything else. So once you realize that is the secret, nobody's got it figured out. We're all feeling our way through the dark, and we're all battling these three things. Hopefully that could be something that people could take away from listening to this that will kind of really complement what you guys were talking about, but also let you know that it exists across everything. And with the podcast that I do for the CrossFit side of things, I've got to meet a lot of these people that I looked up to, and it was a huge moment to just be like, oh, you're just a normal dude. And like, you kind of know that in the back of your mind.
No one makes me bleed my own blood.
Wait, that was actually one of like the best times you've ever done it. You sound
I don't want to
accurate.
derail. I don't want to keep going. Sorry.
But that was a great impersonation. But like, so when I meet somebody like Bill and Katie Henniger who own Rogue Fitness, and if you guys know any equipment supplier, whether you go to 24 Hour Fitness or a CrossFit gym or a college, you know what Rogue Fitness is, right? And like, so these people built arguably what could be valued at $1 billion company out of their garages. And when you still meet them today, they look like those same people that
everything
we
is American made for them too,
everything,
right?
yeah.
Which is also just like really impressive and like crazy because nothing like is ever fully based in the US anymore.
Yep.
So that's
manufacturing,
really cool.
distribution, and development. They built the huge campus in Columbus, Ohio, a few years back, and they put everything on one massive Rogue campus. It's huge.
They got a Rogue campus,
It looks
huh?
like a college, bro.
That's cool.
And
I have a lot of respect for that.
Bro, I dream about
Because
that
big
TTG
companies-
campus one day. Sorry, but go ahead. Yeah.
Big companies say like all the time, we can't afford it. You're like, you're actually just shitty. You can't. Like other people do it. Like you want to make more money, and you just don't want to say that. Fucker.
You value differently.
Shout out to Rogue.
And not to digress too much, but I know when they were looking at the lands and stuff, I heard through the rumor mill, when they were doing that and they were first breaking down on construction, the down payment that was needed when they gave Bill Henniger the figure on it was something in the tune of like just under 50 million. And he pulled out a checkbook and wrote a check and handed it to him.
That's so gangster.
Yeah.
He ain't financing nothing. Here's my finance. It's the checkbook.
That's
Boom.
gangster.
That's
you want?
crazy.
Do you guys take Venmo?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I'll send it over now.
Super humble, great people. But I use them as an example because to me, I really look up to people that have gone really far in business. The whole sports thing and stuff doesn't really do it for me as much, or like a movie celebrity. But if you're like, if it's like Tim Cook from Apple, I'm like, oh, guys, you see, it's Tim Cook. And people are like, who the fuck is that? So those are kind of my celebrities, if you will. But being able to like meet them and talk to them, I'm like, oh, they're just the same as all of us. But they've just worked through the limiting beliefs, the limiting skill set, and the limited knowledge, and put themselves out there so they could acquire those things, because you got to put yourself out there to acquire them. You're not going to acquire them by a YouTube video or a book, unfortunately.
Nobody's going to discover you.
Yeah, it's not.
You
gonna
have to
happen.
make yourself like. Sorry,
Seen.
I wanted to talk to Matt.
Make yourself seen.
You have to.
You talk
Don't
to the
watch
camera.
me.
You talk to the camera.
Don't.
I
all
like
right.
that. I like
Well,
that.
here. This is. I think this is going good. It feels good. You can always tell. I'm just gonna. We did this last episode with Ruby, or a couple episodes ago. It was just a. It was a mid-show, funky reset. Because I imagine if you're listening to this, which I hope you are, I'm hoping a few things resonate with you. And if your hair is starting to stand a little bit, that might mean there's room for you to grow in some place. That relative to a topic we're discussing. So. Take a little minute here, roll down the window, put your hand out the window and do this. And we're going to
He's waving it if you're just listening. In
yeah,
here.
and we're going to
you
let
guys off. Oh my god! How
we're going to let Matt and we're going to let Matt round out with his and keep the conversation going. Otherwise, here we go. 2024, man, the best is yet to come. I don't care if it's March 3rd. Fucking go send it. Let's go. All right.
Just getting going.
Intermission's over, Matt.
Okay, so that That was the first person with the gaps, right? And I wanted to start with that because it just really fit well with what you guys were saying, but it was also like kind of a 30,000 foot view from my perspective, just to add on to the same perspectives. And then the other thing that I had here was enemies.
Enemy. Oh, I needed a soundbite for that. Fuck.
Wait,
Yeah.
before we get into enemies, I
Sure.
do want to talk about something that you just said of like you meet these people and they're regular. Lately, I've been meeting a lot of writers. And it's been really cool because that's where I'm at right now with writing is that I'm meeting other people that they create works that I'm really big fan of. And we build up this idea of people that in our head that do the things that we want to do of like, there's something about them that they have that I don't have. Like there's something about them that makes them otherworldly or whatever. And that's why they're able to do these things. And then you meet them and you're like, oh my God, they're just literally a normal person. Or you know, you'll start asking them questions and you're like, wait, you deal with the same writing issues that I deal with. And like, this is how you figure it out. And it takes putting yourself out there to talk to these people and to bridge the gap and to just be comfortable of like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Like, can I do this? And there may be a no, you may overstep for some people, but then you learn that these are regular people. And then that's how you get successful. Like you can't wait for somebody to come and do like be like, hey, do you want to do this? Or hey, like what are your plans? Like you have to go out there
why we
and
started this
do
podcast,
it.
right?
Yeah. Like
So, and actually, it's. I want to say something. I don't want to be a rant because I want you to get into Matt's point here. But it's when we've all heard this one is like, oh shit, now I forget. But like, never meet your heroes. Or,
Yeah. Yep.
Is it more of a projection or a reflection? It's just like ...
also, I think we
You know
have
what I'm
like
saying?
unrealistic expectations for people too.
Yeah.
Of like you build this person up, and I think this tends to happen with maybe celebrities and less of maybe the people that Matt and I are talking about. Because these are just people that we idolize within specific industries. But yeah, meeting your heroes thing. I'm super hesitant about meeting people that I idolize because I don't want to be like let down. Because I sometimes hold them to a really high standard. But then I feel so great when I meet a person. I'm like, oh my God, you're just a regular fucking person.
Yeah.
That means I can do that too.
Yes.
There wasn't some God-given thing that you got that I didn't get. Like I could do it. It just requires effort. And it required maybe that little tip that you gave me. Like, thank you so much for that tip.
Yeah, that's
So it sounds like you would shatter a limiting belief
Yeah.
and you would pick up knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
There we go. It's
But you
all
got to
right.
be willing to
Gonna
put
come down to
yourself.
those three.
You got to be willing to put yourself out there. You got to be
That's
willing to
100%,
be
yeah.
like vulnerable and maybe
That's where
have
it
a door
starts.
slammed in your face. Like that may be uncomfortable, but you have to do it.
Yep. And I got something for the audience that they could try right now where they
Do
are.
it right now.
So here's what you're going to
Pull
do.
your fucking car over.
And I think this is perfect. Well, you need another human to do this with.
never-
Okay. So let's just
go
not
home.
get too crazy.
or to work.
But so next time you are shopping at a place where, and I'm not talking about a local small business where you know the person. I want you to go to a corporation. You're going to go into Safeway. You're going to go into, dare I say, Starbucks, the S word. So you're going to go into
Paul.
one of these type of places.
Is it
This
to
is for
vandalize
experimenting only, Paul, not because they're actually
Vandalize
going to be going there more often. And here's what you do. You go up where you know that they're going to say no to you. And you say, hi, whoever, Savannah, the person ringing me up at the grocery store. Could I have the Matt Souza 15% discount off my purchase today? And she's going to look at you like you're
Be
crazy.
like,
and you're
"No,
not
we
going to
don't have
say
one."
a single word. You're just going to sit there and you're going to soak in the awkwardness. And then what's going to happen? They're going to tell you no. And it's an easy no that you could just pick up. And then you go, okay, thank you. And then they start ringing up your groceries. Everything else is business as usual. And you will have just survived a rejection.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Easy
that's
enough.
and I think that's
Right?
what
Easy
keeps
enough,
people.
man. Small practice. It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable. You got to put yourself out there because first you got to ask. That's uncomfortable. You're going to
Yes.
feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Then they're going to tell you no. You know that they're going to say no. So
Yep.
then you have to be quiet and let them reject you.
Yep.
And
And, if
Matt,
they say yes, DM us because I want to know.
Yeah, we're going
Matt,
to-
you're on to the thing too, and I think this is why a lot of my peers were really confused when I said, "Oh, like I want to be more brave." They were confused because I'm a person who like I ask questions all the time that like I'm like there's probably going to be an answer that I don't really like, but I'm gonna like ask it anyways. And I think a lot of people they're held back from like fear of rejection. I have a fear of my own acceptance of myself. of like, I can't do it. But I think like, oh, that's such like a good fucking practice. I'm gonna start telling this to all like my peers that I work with of like, set yourself up for being rejected, and it's gonna feel shitty. But
and
like,
I got a second one here.
oh goddamn! Now you really do need to pull over.
I got 2.
He's outdoing himself.
I got
1999
2.
subscription coming soon,
I love
guys.
these. These are so good.
So the next one is going to be putting yourself out there and potentially having the fear of rejection, but actually asking for help. Okay. So here's what we're going to do here. You're going to go up to somebody, and this could be anybody. You don't have to go to like a corporation for this where you know that you're going to get rejected. You could go to somebody who you think might say yes, or you could go to somebody who you're just unsure. And you're going to tell them something that you're aspiring to doing. Hi, I'm Savannah, and I hope to open XYZ. Do you think it's a cool idea? It's got to be super short. It's got to be natural. Don't make it weird. And if they're like, wow, your idea is awesome, you just then go say, awesome. Would you like to Venmo me $1 for seed money?
Whoa.
Because here's the thing, it's just $1. So it's not that big of an ask. You're asking them to Venmo to you. Technically, they could not do it and you could walk away and then you're not going to get the
harm, no
Venmo.
foul. Yeah.
At the same time, you kind of put yourself out there because it's going to be awkward because you just went in for an ask of something and you just let it happen and see what happens. And if they Venmo you $1, you can celebrate that with the new dollar you have. And you could say, wow, somebody else believes enough in my thing that they gave me $1 and I sold my idea and I earned $1. And then you have, by definition, started your business.
And who's to say you can't get $2 next time?
Exactly. So it's just, I mean, these are just super small things that you could literally do right now listening to this, like hopefully not while you're driving, maybe like pull over and do it. But so the point being is like you could start these practices and sometimes we put these lofty goals down, like I want to earn more than $10 million a year. And then you're like, great, where do I start? And it's like, you have nowhere to go. So right now, and you guys perfectly kind of talked about that from like a 30,000 foot view and different approaches. And now hopefully there's 2 things that you could take away from with rejection and asking for help that encompass everything that you guys talked about in terms of like having to get over to take that first step.
So let's go do it. 2024.
Or even I like that one, and maybe if it's not a business idea, but maybe it's just something like if you have a hard time asking for help, what is a different way of like like literally being like, hey, can you help me with this? What would that challenge look like?
I mean, here's the thing. It doesn't necessarily need to be a business idea. Obviously, that was speaking to more like the entrepreneurial thing, but you could literally do the same thing with some sort of cause. Hey, did you know that I'm going to Hayward? Yeah, I did. Awesome. Like I'm getting these books. Hey, do you want to invest in me for $1? Right? Like, or hey, I'm looking for help for this one thing. And the reason why it has to be a transaction is again, because that was more of an entrepreneur or business thing. And then that proved that you could earn $1, right? Just by talking through your ideas. So I would have to put a little bit more thought to like what that would look like just in terms of asking for help.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's something out there and it would probably just go into the form of like what you said, which is find maybe somebody a level ahead of you or doing something similar that you want to do and just coming up and saying, hey, I have one question and I would love 10 minutes of your time, right? Or I have one question I would love 5 minutes of your time. And then legit have your question ready and make sure it's something decent and then just ask it to them. And then when they're done and they answer it, just say, okay, awesome. Thank you so much. And then back away from it, right?
The harsh part, which usually Matt will usually say, is like, if you can't sell your idea for $1, it's not fucking good.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't mean it's a bad idea. You might need to revise it.
Yep.
But it's not good enough yet. So go better. Which you'll never know if
you don't do it.
I've wasted $1 on worse things.
People give you $1 just to like end the awkwardness for them, right? Like some people like, here's the $1.
Go send it. But I want to know about Matt's enemies, man.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, enemies. Get some fucking
I know.
music.
I was
for
looking
this.
for the 50 Cent many men.
Oh, damn it.
Many men. But
Don't
then
we have like
the
something
things.
else?
Nah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Just keep singing something, but don't sing it for longer than 30 seconds.
I want to use the term enemy lightly because a lot of people think, oh, now I have to badmouth somebody else, like attack something. And that's not the purpose of the use of the word enemy here.
Oh, man.
Well, it can be. Don't get me wrong. You could definitely take it that way. But I didn't want people to just be turned off just by that alone, right? So here's what I mean by enemy. you've had somebody most likely in your life that has either given you like the half doubt or the pat on the shoulder, like, oh, good luck with your little business idea.
Oh, they're the worst.
Right?
You're little.
Right. So you have that, right? Or you have the fake kind of like, oh, I'm good for you. Hope that works out. And like, really, they just want you to send them their writing so they could pick it apart.
Yeah.
So rather than letting that start to suck bandwidth away with you second guessing yourself because it might have tapped into an insecurity, like make that a nugget and then use that. That is now
even
your
if it's
enemy.
not real,
That is- you could just do your own thing with it too. And then on top of that, have some sort of larger overarching enemy, right? So the impossible enemy, like the David and Goliath for me, is definitely like the Western medical system, right? Like, how do we untangle health insurance and big pharma to put them back in their lane and let the doctors do what the doctors need to do without these outside influences, right? So that's a really big goal. And like, if I actually made traction in that, I'd probably get canceled and shot one time by like a sniper from a CIA asset, right? But if you also have that big of a goal, and then we have something.
Sorry, I created like a whole scenario
I know
in my
you like
mind.
that.
That's really
I
funny.
painted that for you right there.
I added
was
some
waiting.
more
Wait
stuff
till
to
we
it,
can
and it
afford
like got
visuals,
funnier.
bro. Wait till we can
B-roll.
afford visuals. Oh man.
And so then you could have that localized, quote unquote enemy that you're using as fuel to continue to drive you to kind of like find your burn, so to speak. Like what is really going to like get you to jump out of bed. And then you could set it as something as really big, like, I'm going to stop XYZ and change the world. It's like, great if that fires you up. And then also being able to, you could do that around a problem. It really grinds my gears that you can't mobile order food from restaurants in airplanes. That is a problem that we could solve, people, and you could have it delivered to your terminal. Why don't we have a DoorDash inside of an airport? What would that look like, right? Terminal Dash.
We could probably think of a better name, but
that sounded terrible.
Termites. No, I'm just kidding. So then you could make
Gate
that
Dash.
that problem your enemy. Gate Dash.
Yeah.
Oh, Gate Dash.
Yeah, there's something
Yeah.
there.
What do you think I said?
Doesn't matter anymore. Keep going.
We're good. And so that problem can now become the enemy that I'm obsessing over. How do I
like
make
that.
getting food at an airport more convenient, right? So you kind of get to pick your poison. But the thing is to take something that may have either discouraged you, may have either frustrated you, or maybe just be something that really excites you because it's a problem and you could attack it. Listing them out. Like, no shit, like, the guy that tapped me on the shoulder. And I have one that I'll share with you guys that happened at the beginning of the gym. I had just owned the gym. I was like all gung-ho at one of our long-term members, like surprise birthday party in like his brother's backyard or something. And I was meeting one of our coach's good friends. And they were like, oh, yeah, hey, this is so-and-so, my friend. This is Matt. He owns the gym. And at that time, I was like 26 years old. And this guy was much older. And he looked at me and he goes, you own it? And I go, yeah, with business partners over here. Doug Cathy goes, you own 51%? And I said, no. And he goes, then you don't own shit. Literally, as I met him. And like, even the person who was my friend
Honestly,
that
this is
introduced
most
us.
interactions that I've had with older men.
The person who introduced us, like, even was like it was like an
we
awkward
chose
moment to where like
violence today.
they knew, and I kind of laughed it off, and I was like, "Yep, I guess you're right." And that stuck with me until 2.5 years later when I owned the gym outright. And
You sent
after
him
I
an
didn't
email,
buy
bro?
Poppers, I will.
You sent him an email.
Our paths will cross.
Venmo me $1 for this idea.
Guess what? I got 100% of it and a bunch of other things going on, and you just got older, bro.
That is so.
And fatter.
Oh man, there's layers to that.
And I hope you broke your foot.
Yeah, no, there's layers to that, and we'll get to it. But if there's a word that you can remove immediately from your vocabulary, at least as far as how you use it, both towards people and to yourself, stop calling people's big ideas little.
Yeah.
It is not my little business. It is not your little idea. It is not your little win, even if it means it to you. Stop belittling people's progress, dreams.
Yep.
And I was even.
I do that to myself a lot.
I haven't figured it out just yet because it still just pragmatically makes sense. Small business. Like we're gonna figure out a better word for that, and TTG is gonna
I always
own
say
it.
independent
But
business.
like, cut that out of your vocabulary. Stop saying it to your friends.
I think independent business is better.
and maybe that's and stop saying it to yourself.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
That's the end of that point. But otherwise, let's keep it because I like that, and I'm trying to. There is a connection with what you just said to to Savannah and I's points, which I haven't connected yet. Maybe I'll get there in conversation, but
Yeah.
I like that. But like what I heard is like so maybe this is part of like, maybe this is a first stab at finding that connection is like use those moments that hurt or like, it kind of sounds like use that as fuel.
That's right.
And like failure, bravery can be fuel.
Yep.
To get to your like in a different capacity because
Yep.
and I dig it and it made me think of this because it was a point that I was trying to make in Risk that just didn't come to fruition, so I wasn't going to force it. But since we're all in very nuanced ways talking about a similar theme, which is cool because we're all on the same podcast and we work together, which is like, all right, cool, we're aligned. The most damaged artists in history make the most beautiful things.
Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting you go out there and just fucking wreck yourself. But it takes a certain amount of loss, failure, risk
Yep.
to achieve greatness. If you've never seen the bottom, you'll never strive for the top. And I'm like, everyone's ceiling is a little bit different. And if you're looking at it right, there is no ceiling. Motherfucker, it's a moon roof.
That's right. Yeah. There is no
Also,
saying.
I want to add something to that. They're also just honest. They weren't trying to replicate other artwork that other people had done. They were willing to do what was like true to them. They're honest about them and what they wanted. It wasn't about like, well, who's the greatest artist at like this time and let me just replicate what they're doing.
Yeah.
What makes any great artist great is that they were true to what they creatively wanted to do and created a new form or broke some type of mold or whatever it may be. And you don't always have to break the new mold. It can just be something that's better. But the point is that they didn't try and fit what everybody else was doing. They did what felt true to them, what felt honest to them.
There's a authenticity.
Yeah.
That was I was
If you're not yourself, we pick up on it. Like we all do this. We all pick up on it. And I was thinking about this earlier. I'm like, man, like why is it that person that at that one point in time like really annoyed me? There was nothing wrong with that person. I was thinking about this literally today. I was like, I finally figured out what it was. I was like, it's because they weren't authentic. They weren't
being real.
themselves. They're trying to be whatever it was that we thought they should be. And we all pick up on that in some way. And there's times where I've shown up and I've been what I thought somebody else wanted to be. And then so confused when that wasn't received well. And what I realize is that we all receive each other well when we just kind of show up as ourselves. But there's a forcedness of like when you're trying to be what you think everybody else wants that we could all feel, and it's icky and none of us fucking like it. And then you end up like disliking that person. You're like, I don't know why. Like it's just.
And you may and like that person may never know it because but you feel it.
Yeah.
Like humans are so much better at feeling and like we get things whether we show it to you.
We
in
don't
any capacity.
always articulate it,
There
but
you
we
go, yeah.
feel it.
We feel it.
We
And,
can't
like,
always
I may just
figure
not
that
talk
word
to you
out.
anymore, and it may be as simple as that.
Yeah.
But like, authenticity was like battling risk with me.
Yeah.
And I just wrote it down because I wondered if it might come up. But authenticity is something that
authenticity is a big one.
never going out of style. And I think it's especially important these days. And I think there's different ways that you can apply that. So like,
Yes.
if you're, if you're a media company, I think the days of, unless you're a Super Bowl ad, but even I think the days of super polished and perfect ads are over.
For sure.
Or ending. Because if it feels like an ad, next.
Yeah.
People
Yes.
want real people, right? So that's
Yes.
one application. Your products should be true to you. Because unless they mean what they should to you, they'll never mean to me what they should, like what you intend. So like I think authenticity can be just riddled all along your fucking business. How you treat your employees, your staff. Don't be the asshole CEO just because your acronym is CEO. Like, no one fucking cares, bro. You're a servant. You work for everybody that makes your dream.
Or just be exactly who you
So,
are. And
yeah.
people are way more willing to respond to that
100%.
if you just.
Because we all just want to be, we're all just human, man. This shit's tough. And like community, tribe, and we're all in this together in varying ways.
Yeah.
Like I run a spice business, Matt runs a CFL gym, but like we live in the same community.
Yeah.
So like our medians are different, but
the moment I stop, and every time I stop trying to be whatever it is that I think is going to be the successful thing or whatever the thing needs to be, whenever I stop doing that, I am so much happier. I find so much clarity, and then I'm successful because I just played to what I actually want to be and whatever my strengths were.
And you get to define success.
And I get to define it.
Which is also
but when
something
you,
CrossFit says, huh?
but yeah, there's so many times that like people have been like, okay, well, if you like this industry and you want to be successful in it, this is what it looks like. And then I tried
This is
it,
what it
and
looks
then I'm
like.
like, actually, no, I think success in this way actually could look very different. And again, there's so many people, I'll explain my concept to them and they don't get it. And I'm like, don't worry, you don't have to get it. When it's open, you'll get it then. I'm not going to try and explain it to you. You're not going to get it yet. Like you either get it or you don't. When you show up and you see it being successful, the thing will
it'll
click.
It'll
It will
click.
make sense to you then. I'm not going to bother trying to articulate it to you right now.
And
Just
we're touching
know
on
I
so
got
many-
it.
we're
I
touching
believe
on
in
so
it.
many points. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
like if you couldn't sell your idea for $1, it may not be a bad idea. It just doesn't connect yet. Try again.
Well, know who your audience is.
And
This
like,
is a big
so-
thing that I talk about all the time is like, know who your audience is when we write things, especially when I'm tutoring people and we're writing. I'll ask like the first thing too is like, who's your audience for this? Like, who are you saying this to? And then sometimes too, people will ask me for feedback on things and I'll look at it and be like, I don't think I'm your audience. I'm not the person you should be asking
Yeah,
this
that's what
for.
you
Like,
say that.
find who your audience is. It's not me. There was recently for our literary magazine, there was one of our writers. She wrote she went back and forth between Spanish and English. And the three people who were reading her copy edit were somebody who her first language is Farsi and speaks English. And then another guy who only speaks English. And it was these things of I was just like, I read it. And I was just like, oh, they didn't get it because they weren't your audience. Like they didn't understand. They couldn't connect with it because they were not the audience on it. And so that was the piece of advice that I gave. I was just like, I think I was one of your audience people. And I was like, I know there's a lot of other people who are part of your audience. And like, don't try and change this to fit the mass. It's not going to fit the mass. Don't bother doing that. Like, keep it for who the audience is. Like, stay with and if we break this down into business, stay with your target audience. Stay with your target market. Like, you're not going to be able to sell it to everybody. And that's actually fine. You don't
that's
have
better.
to.
There's enough people in the world. Someone's got the niche.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Niches bring riches.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So
Put that on a t-shirt.
regrettably,
Pull over
because
right now and write that one down.
regrettably, because or you can always just rewatch it. We'll take the views. We started a little late, so we are kind of we're getting a little close on time, being cognizant of studio time and whatnot.
We can land the plane.
We can land the plane.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you guys with a question real quick, and it's just like I'm just curious because AI. It's also 2024.
Yep.
So we're talking about things. We're talking about things, but like AI is a theme.
These are
It's
fucking
trending. It's not trending. It's not going anywhere. Like it's
Right.
new. Here it is.
It's the new thing, and it's being talked about a lot.
It's here. So like I'm gonna maybe go grab another beer quick, but like I'm just interested in what you think. Like AI. We're let's spend 10 minutes on.
I feel like
AI.
Matt's our AI guy.
So
Am I? Okay.
I don't know. I feel like you're more familiar with it than Jeremy and I for sure.
I mean, yeah, I think the deal with AI is like
AI is my enemy.
it's super early. So like a lot of the stuff that it's claiming it could do, it can to some degree, but not at a point that like jobs are going extinct and
Yeah, I
all
agree.
these things are happening. I think that everybody seems to be really keen on like the AI in the creative realm in terms of writing and visual and imaging, and I still think that there will always be a human element to the creativity. You might see
Absolutely
AI
agree.
like assist in some of the monotony of that work that certain artists don't like to do. Like in the case of like editing for grammar or editing for these, it might be able to shorten your time up. In terms of doing some of the stuff like that when it comes to writing. In terms of like images and voice stuff, it's great because you could really fix some flaws that you couldn't before. Like if I sat through this whole entire podcast and called you Savannah, we could literally with AI go in and change my voice to make it say Savannah. So there's really cool things like that that is helping accelerate certain stuff and helping like fix some mistakes and things that you couldn't necessarily do before. But I think the whole craze of like it's going to put a ton of people out of work and stuff like that isn't quite there yet. I would honestly say that most likely like legal stuff will have the first issue.
Yeah.
Because in legal, it's just like understanding what the case is and using other case studies and interpreting the law to present your point. And AI would be something that would like accelerate that quite a bit.
There's actually, I read an article recently about this conversation about legal and AI. It's not where it needs to be for people to utilize it. And I'll restate what I said earlier. AI isn't my enemy. The way people use AI is my enemy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And so this article talked about a lawyer at a
Y'all know
firm
that
in
sound.
LA, and she was using AI, and it created fake sources.
Yeah.
And she the firm presented this, and this was in a case with like landlord like rights and it was really embarrassing for this firm because when they started going through these like in court, they're like, this isn't fucking real. We are presenting we have all of our information is not fucking real. And it was
no.
because of the way that she tried to use AI.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And so I think what's really funny is that the way that people use AI is use it to get rid of the, like you said, like the monotony of like certain labor
Okay,
tasks.
cool. I figured he said, all right.
My thing is like it cannot replace original thought. And as somebody like, if you are somebody who works in law, and especially because you're one of like those lower end, like newer, like it's literally your job to comb through something and copy edit it and make sure everything is correct and accurate. It's not the machine's job.
Yeah.
And
Well, it doesn't
that's where
know
it doesn't know, and that's where she fucked up. And it was really interesting because it was an interesting conversation. I mostly see AI in writing. I cannot tell you how many people who've come in to get tutored, and they'll like open their laptop and then I see that they have it on ChatGPT. They'll be like, oops.
Yeah.
And they'll be like,
Yeah.
so can you do this? And what's really interesting is I always say like, listen, at the tutoring center, it's a little bit different than when I work as a teaching assistant. But at the tutoring center, it's not our job to like narc on people. It's our job to teach them how to use AI. So I've been getting
Should be
more
every teacher's
familiar
job,
with
by
it.
the way.
And some professors do. Some professors do, but the problem is like if you take somebody who just doesn't want to do the work, they're not going to do the work and they're not going to listen to you either way. Like that's somebody who's learning. That's their personal choice at the end of the day. And it is really interesting because I'll be like, cool, like you used the word solicit here. What does solicit mean? And then they just sit there like, and I was like, listen,
Yeah.
if we're going to use like assisted like writing, that's totally fine. But like use it to create an outline, like use it to maybe like generate some like good like prompts that you can write off of, or like just trying to teach people how to use it. But a lot of the times what I see is that they're trying to replace original thought.
Yeah.
And it's also because, and this is something that a few professors that I work with, and then the one at the tutoring center is like, we always say, you don't learn to write. We're writing to learn things. And if you write in a way, if you're trying to genuinely learn something, your writing will reflect that and it will be good. It will be whatever good writing is. But it is interesting. I used Grammarly recently because I had to turn in a grad school application. It was a personal statement. And all the people that I normally go to like proofread my stuff, like were busy and couldn't do it for however long. And I needed to turn it in like right away. So it's just like, I'll run it through Grammarly and see like what it comes up with. Cause Grammarly has an AI tool that like us and the tutors say, like, if you're going to use anything to proofread, don't use ChatGPT. It's not very good. Use Grammarly. Also, ChatGPT has created fake sources. So like you can't wholly rely on it. Like you still have to do the thinking part of the work. It will just do the labor. And it brought it back to me and I was just like, okay, like maybe some grammar and punctuation, but it didn't replace. I was just like, it missed this part. It missed this part. Like this is a stylistic choice and it cannot make a stylistic choice. Like AI is not sentient. It cannot make that choice yet. So until it is,
And it won't be.
It'll
It'll get better. And the one thing about
I wouldn't
AI
say it
is
won't be. You never know, but
it can only be as good as we
As
give
the
it,
user.
as we give it. And in time, AI will be the Jetsons. It'll get great. But I also agree. No, it'll never replace us.
Yeah.
But it'll be better than a lot of us one day. But it won't replace the best. It'll only get more challenging.
That is
so, like,
true.
So it's like, don't be bad at what you do, guys. Like, know your tools, and because authenticity, originality, someone will see through it, and especially the person that you want the most to buy, to Venmo you $1 for the idea.
I love visual AI tools. I've been using those a lot lately. Those are good. That will color match something for you perfectly. You're like, oh my God.
Labor monotony is where I think small businesses, independent businesses, big businesses, but you're not going to listen. People, entrepreneurs is where the strides are in 2024, from content creation to revising, word writing. Matt said it in an earlier episode, is like, if you own a independent business and you're working to displace the monotony, but you haven't found a number 2 yet. You might have a number 3 and a number 4, but you haven't found a number 2 yet. Like, AI, in my opinion, and what I'm trying to train myself in this year is like, how can I get 2 hours a day back? Mm-hmm. Because time is more valuable than anything. We don't need to get into that. You don't get so if AI can help me get time back, that's where I'm digging into. And as far as the podcast is concerned, there is a great AI tool. Matt's used it before, and I finally just kind of dug into it. The one I'm using is called Opus AI. Mm-hmm. And I can upload the entirety of a podcast, and it gives me options to make 30-second, 30 to 60-second, 120-second clips based on keywords that I put into the search bar. It gives me a lot of options, right? So it replaces 5 fucking hours of post-production with
5 hours on a minimum side.
On a minimum.
I like AI as an editing tool.
With 4 minutes of this and 30 minutes of walking away. Because it takes a minute, but cool. Now
it'll just generate the clips, but you could go on and do your own thing. You come back, it's done. Yeah.
And even then, you should go in and
you
revise
have
a bit,
because it's not going to be perfect.
But I'll take 90%. I'll take 90% there.
Oh yeah.
Because life is, we just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless producing content is making me $175 an hour, even if it is, I'm still going to figure out a way to do it faster, better.
Of course.
So I'm really AI. I think AI is to the risk portion of it, to the brave portion of it. I think you would, if you're one of those people like I didn't get a smartphone until 2016 because of all the stupid shit that I don't think they're watching me. They could find me if they wanted to.
Yeah.
AI is going to happen whether you like it or not.
They sent you really lovely baskets.
People are going to use AI to make big leaps. And if you don't at least explore it, guys, you'll never know. To me, it kind of feels like when YouTube started, when Facebook started.
It's 100% that, yeah.
We're at this time right now, just try it.
Yeah.
Or just listen to it. Try it once. If you don't like it, but this is the year to help AI give you time back as an entrepreneur or someone who does more things than you should be doing for progress, in my opinion. So I think you were pointing to that when I was over there. I completely agree with you, but personally, I'm less worried about originality because I'm not going to misuse it for originality. But I totally feel that people are like.
What's always really interesting is that these students, they use it to generate it. They take the whole thing and they're like, "Is this what do I do with it now?" And you're like, "Yeah," because you realized you don't know what to do with it because you didn't know how to do it in the first place. Yeah. It wasn't replacing your labor; it was replacing your thinking. And I can't really.
And I'm almost banking on that because there's going to be a lot of people that do that, which is just it creates distance between you and the competition, guys. So
and I'll say I used it to write the wedding that I officiated.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
So I had it write me one. And I put in the name of the bride and groom, and I put in a few other activities, and so I knew how to give it the right prompts, and it spit this thing out. I ended up copy pasting it over to a doc, and then over the next couple of weeks, completely massaged the document to add a lot of my touches to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The end product of that looked nothing. I literally used it for me. Yeah. If I stare at a blank piece of paper, I will stare at that for hours. Mm-hmm. But once I have a format, I'm like, no, this line sucks. I would never say that. Mm-hmm. You pull that out, you plug it in with something you would.
And that's how you should use it when you're writing. And a lot of times, these students, I think, get really overwhelmed by
writing. They get lazy is what they do.
I think they get lazy, and I think they get like really overwhelmed too. I think they say, because there's plenty of times that I look at it and I'm like 10 fucking pages. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to go on about
that's
this?
pretty big.
Like
yeah.
it's so a lot of times like I think they're genuinely like overwhelmed. Some of them are lazy. I once had like a student tell me of like, well, I'm really busy. I'm like, take a fucking look around, buddy. Literally all of us. Literally, like you think you're the only special one baseball boy who is like
join
busy.
the club.
Like
We're all busy.
stop. Like look around. Like
busy
It's like
boys
saying,
club.
well, if there's not traffic, of course there's going to be
There's
traffic.
got to be
guys.
traffic.
Just plan for
Yeah,
traffic.
there's always traffic.
So
and you're always busy.
I like we can keep going. I know we can, but regrettably, guys, it's us, not you. I hope you're enjoying this conversation, and we can extend it. So like when I post this, I'll make sure to add a poll. You want us to extend upon this conversation? Because we'd love to. There's a lot here, and there'll even be a point where like you can give us a few topics because it is a. And I think we're making the change live. Do you guys want to not call it small business anymore? Independent?
Yeah, let's do it.
yeah, I like independent.
Stop calling your friends' businesses and ideas little. They're not.
They're not.
So, we're an independent podcast. We're an independent business podcast, and we're all independent business owners and idea holders. We want to, all the things. So if there's something there, we'll continue it. But regrettably, we do got to land the plane. So with that said, is like from this, whether it's the keyword we use, what's your takeaway? What did you gravitate? Are you walking away with something you didn't walk in with?
I mean, I am just from like the higher level of everything we discussed. We didn't talk about our topics before getting into the room or anything.
Yeah.
We just basically came in and did it. And I think that, and I hope the audience listening to it takes away that the thread of what we're talking about, all of us are also dealing with. Mm-hmm. And we're saying it from a way of like, hey, if you find a way to put in strategies for you to put yourself out there, to start the thing, to face the rejection, to, take the risk and do all of that, that's the only path forward. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what level you are in playing the game, quote unquote, you're still going to have to do that. So I just hope that the audience kind of like took away a few things. And number one, like, hey, you're not alone in these same struggles like all of us are, even though we're all in different industries and different things and at different levels, right? But it's all the same kind of stuff we're struggling with, so to speak.
It's the same game.
And so, yeah, that's what I hope the takeaway is, that you're not alone in the process, and hopefully you got some sort of tactile stuff that you could use out of us here that will start to help you move forward.
Yeah. Anything?
I mean, like you said, or like Matt was just saying, is that we all just kind of came in here, and then it's cool to see that we're on the same page of like we're saying very, very similar things. Mm-hmm. And I would say my ideas are just like more refined, and I have more words to also describe the same exact thing of like what I've been talking about, just adding a little bit more to the lexicon. And there was something just slipped my mind. There's something that I am walking away with. You go. It's going to come back to me.
Well, I mean, I'll be quick because I agree with both what you're saying. But like, if this episode resonated with you, don't just listen to it immediately or very shortly after listening to this.
About it.
Go do something.
Right. Yeah.
Go do something. Don't sit on this episode and we're all susceptible to it.
Yep.
I love watching inspirational videos and doing nothing with them because at least they make me feel good. But like, if this resonates with you, don't fucking waste this little high. It's not us. It's not, you don't have to be in love with who. If you're getting a little feeling to go try something, go use that energy. Go use that fuel. Go figure it out. Go fail. Go win. Go celebrate something. Do it now. Why wait? Because like yesterday was a better day to start. That's where I'm at. Like,
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Great.
Oh, I like that one. That's where I learned yesterday was a better day to start.
There we go.
So I think
Hit the button.
hit the fucking
Quick,
button.
quick. We had it on a good note.
Hit the button.
It made
No,
sense.
it's too late. So as always, man, this is beautiful. We're a few episodes in, and we're still having fun. And the best is yet to come. We're catching a groove. I love that we're all aligned. We're a similar energy. We don't talk as much as we should, but we talk enough, and I'm excited to talk more. I'm going to tell you to be in that space. So, as always, shout out to our sponsor, Serviceware. Go check him out, man. Justin Carvaccio and his family and his friends are doing it the right way, and we are grateful for their support in this.
Yeah.
Don't wait till it's broken, y'all. Otherwise, give us a follow, TTG_podcast. We've got a landing page coming for you soon. This is the theme song. I'm on 2 feet, so you'll see a theme video coming soon as well. We're just trying to have fun. Make what you do fun. We can't wait for this to be a fucking bane of our existence. I can't wait to be exhausted from this, but for now, I just love it. So, Thank you, Advanced Creative Studio. And I think that's all we got. Goodbye.
Eat local, drink local, live local.
Thank you. Because
Bingo.
that part's important too, goddammit.
Adios.